Hey, what's up, everybody? Haven't connected everybody to the stream yet. So if you are listening to this, not live, which almost everybody is, because nobody's in the chat room yet, look in the comments for my comment on the timestamp. Click it and skip right to when we start. You don't have to listen to a setup, which is all right.
What's up?
What's up? We're already streaming online,
We're already online.
so keep that in mind before we continue the conversation.
Copy that.
How are you guys?
Great.
Good.
Are you guys ready for this really one-of-a-kind conversation we're going to have ranking Jennifer Lawrence films? There's no way we're going to name the same fucking 5 or 6 movies only, and that's it, because she only has like 5 good movies, maybe?
I mean, I was thinking that it might be easier to... I've got one that I don't think will be a part of the listing.
Okay.
My ranking's weird. It's weird. We'll see.
Okay. That'll be the interesting, is we'll be able to discuss the differences between all of us.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Derek, Brandon, Derek.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Derek just listened to our Circle review.
Hell yeah.
That was Brandon and I.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a very good review.
Thank you. You know the fortunate thing. Go ahead.
I think that was the last one that you were on board for.
For Watch and Talk, yeah, and I'm actually so glad that I didn't end up doing it. I'm so glad that it's this movie and not it.
Why?
Because I feel like there's so much more to talk about with Mother. Exactly.
I'm glad you have a lot to talk about, because I'm going to do my best over here. All right.
Yes.
Welcome to the Watch and Talk. I'm Dylan Shuck.
I'm Derek Miranda.
And I'm Brandon Gilbrecht.
Let's redo that. Okay. Derek, you go first.
Okay.
Welcome to the Watch and Talk. I'm Dylan Shuck.
I'm Derek Miranda.
And I'm Brandon Gilbrecht.
Let's redo that, except just say that a little slower. Just redo it. Just say I'm Brandon Gilbrecht again.
How dare you? I'm Brandon Gilbrecht.
In this podcast, we're reviewing Mother, as well as our top 5 Jennifer Lawrence films, and you can hear all of our previous reviews at thewatchandtalk.com. Big shout out to our Patreon supporters. If you want to be a supporter of the show, you can go to patreon.com/thewatchandtalk. Big shout out to our premium supporters, Shakita, June, Endless Mike, and Kaka. How we doing, Brandon? Long time no talk.
You know, Dylan, I've been doing great. I'm excited to be back on the show. I've been listening along. I've been following along to the other reviews you've been doing, and I think that this film is going to have a different kind of review than the other ones, and I'm excited about that. I think it's really great to be here.
I think that this movie will definitely help you network a lot. So that's what you're looking to do. It'll help you network. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally. So I'm working at this place called Propagate, and we're putting out. Have you guys ever heard of Lore? It's a fairly popular podcast.
No.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Anyway, it's about like ghosts and goblins and folklore stories, and so Amazon had us make 6 episodes of a visual version, and it's coming out on the 13th of October. And so this kind of all fit into, there's sort of like a horror push that's happening over the past couple of episodes.
Nice.
So I'm glad everything kind of blends. That's what I've been doing in my life, in my personal career.
So you've done a lot of networking. But
I've done a ton of networking.
If you needed help social networking,
ooh,
I have a solution for you, and it's called CoinCrack. All you have to do is go to thewatchandtalk.com/CoinCrack, and you can boost your social media presence.
Dylan, tell me about it.
That's it.
No, tell me about it though.
Go to thewatchandtalk.com/CoinCrack, and all your answers will be answered. All your questions will be answered.
Dylan, don't tell me about it.
As always, we stream our episodes on YouTube as of the past couple months. So if you hear us referring to somebody In the chat, it's because we're streaming it on YouTube. If you want to follow along with us on YouTube, you can just search for The Watch and Talk and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you'll get notifications. We also usually tweet out as a heads up before the episode. So if you ever hear us refer to somebody in the chat, it's because the episodes are streaming on YouTube, and you can follow along if you so choose. All right, real quick, let's talk about what we watched recently. Derek and I just saw something last weekend.
Yes, we did.
What did we see, Derek?
We saw, for the first time ever, we saw The Room.
Oh, classic.
We went and saw it at a midnight screening.
Excellent.
And it was one of the most incredible film-going experiences I've ever had in my life.
See, I've only seen it at home. I have not seen it live in a theater. And I know that there's a whole like Rocky Horror aspect to the viewing, which I am so excited to do and see, because I am a big fan of The Room. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I'm super excited about Disaster Artist.
I am too.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that we got the push to go see it, is because we needed to go see it before Disaster Artist came out. I do maybe perhaps recommend somebody watching it at home before they go see it in the theater, because you can't. Everyone's yelling at the screen the entire movie, so you can't understand what they're saying. And especially the theater we saw it at, it was very quiet. Comparatively.
Did you see it like, was it like an old rundown third-rate discount theater, or was it a fairly nice modern cinema?
Neither. It's in the middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's in the middle. I mean, it's like a classic one-screen theater, and they do a lot of midnight screenings. They do Rocky Horror on a monthly basis. They do. So, like, I mean, it's one of those, like,
they do midnight showings every Saturday, and they do like they're doing Dawn of the Dead this month also. They do a bunch of different movies, but they do Room every 2 months or something. I want to go to every single screening of it.
It's a fun experience. Yeah, they're actually showing, like, this week they're doing a bunch of classics. Like, tomorrow they're showing The Great Dictator throughout the day. And I'm going to try to catch one of those screenings tomorrow, actually.
Absolutely great film.
This is called The Ken in San Diego. So,
okay, very neat. Hey, shout out to San Diego. Big ups.
Big ups to San Diego, and big ups to Brad in the chat room, who says, "So it's just me, so refer to me already." I don't think he's necessarily getting the point of what I mean by when we refer to somebody in the chat. But if you do go see The Room, just bring a pack of plastic spoons.
Spoons, yeah.
Lots of plastic spoons.
Which apparently they didn't have spoons for Disaster Artist. It's the one thing that they couldn't replicate.
What do you mean?
Which is so, because the pictures on the back wall are of spoons, and that's why people throw spoons. Yeah. And so they couldn't find those same pictures of spoons.
They couldn't have just printed them. They couldn't have just made them.
Dylan, write James Franco, okay? Tweet at him or whatever you guys do. You got a following. I'm sure he'll respond to you.
Whatever you kids do these days. All right.
I want to jump in and say that midnight movies have been ruined for me, because when I was attending El Camino Real High School in the late 90s, there was a showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show at the local Topanga Theater, which has now been torn down and turned into some big shopping mall.
Yep.
And the film
My sister used to go to that theater.
Well, maybe she told you the story. Maybe she was there on the same night, which is that the film burned. And so
what?
Yes.
So it was just like fucking Inglourious Bastards?
You're watching the film, and no, not when you like light it on fire, but like it got too hot underneath the projector lamp. And so what ended up happening was that the MC was running up and like, let's have a dance party. So all these people run up to the front of the theater, and all these girls, and I'm 17, 16 at the time. This is the most amazing thing that has ever happened. Start taking off their clothes, and it was like, oh my effing God. And it was like the first time I ever saw boobs in real life. It was amazing. And so it ruined. And I went to so many Rocky Horror Picture Shows in the hopes that something like
waiting for it to happen again.
And it never, ever did, of course.
So you never saw boobs again after that?
I have not to this day. I actually recently got engaged, and I'm super excited because she promised that on our wedding night, I will be able to see her boobs.
Did you recently get engaged?
I did, yeah, last Saturday.
On accident?
Oh.
On purpose. I actually had a ring in my pocket. And
and you put it on her finger?
I said, "Hey, can I put this on your hand?" And she was like, "I mean, whatever, I guess."
Well, congrats, man! Congrats!
Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm super excited.
All right, let's get into our. Did you watch anything of note recently, Brandon, that you'd like to discuss?
So here's one thing I'm going to tell you. It's like anybody who's listening, anybody can hear the sound of my voice. I am in love with MoviePass. I don't know if you guys have talked about MoviePass at this point.
Not the new MoviePass. Derek and I had a long conversation about it before the room.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll give you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The thing is that now it's $10 a month, and it doesn't even feel like it's a real, like, once you get your first movie, and my first movie was It, and so I was like, oh, okay, now every movie after this, it has paid for itself, because it was enjoyable. Anything that I watched, so I tried to watch Wind River, and then it was too close to the screen, that wasn't enjoyable. I saw Mother, I saw Lucky Logan. We went to the John Williams does a concert every year at the Hollywood Bowl, and so we saw Jaws, which was on Netflix.
MoviePass let you see that?
No, but I'm saying MoviePass allows you to go to the theater. You pay $10 a month, and then they basically send you a debit card, and you use the debit card to pay for the cost of the tickets. Now Jaws isn't playing, but Close Encounters of the Third Kind, also a Spielberg John Williams film, is playing in theaters, which I haven't gotten to see yet, but I do want to see because it's an absolutely great movie.
No, I actually don't think MoviePass will let you use it for that though, because I was trying to go see Close Encounters and it didn't show up on my MoviePass app. Yeah, I think like Fathom events, like special events, it won't let you.
Oh, because it's been coming up on my MoviePass, but maybe it's the theater. So I'm in Los Angeles, and so maybe it's the movie.
Okay, interesting.
I think that Los Angeles is just better than San Diego. I think this is very clear in this one specific instance and in many other instances as well.
You know, I'll give you that. I love San Diego. I've been calling San Diego home for over 10 years now. But the one thing that drives me crazy is that San Diego kind of doesn't care about movies that much, which, breaks my heart because I love movies more than anything else. So I'll give you that. LA's winning against San Diego when it comes to this movie, anything film related.
Hot dog. Made it. Did it.
So
go ahead.
So yes, let's keep this story trucking along. And let's get to our top 5 of the.
Dylan, you know that I could talk for hours.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That's why I want to keep this thing trucking along. Let's get to our top 5 of the week, which is our top 5 Jennifer Lawrence films. I guess it's going to be up to you how you want to word this. If you want it to be her performance, or if you want it to be the movie itself. I kind of did a combining of both.
Sure, a hybrid. Would you say? Would you call it a hybrid?
Yes, I would.
Nice.
It's called honorable mentions. The only honorable mention I have is just her role as Mystique in X-Men. I simply have as an honor.
I don't even know if I'd put it on there. I thought that her performance as Mystique is so lackluster that
I don't think it's that. It's that's what got me to put it in honorable mention, not in the definitely not in the top 5 list.
Fair.
So I don't disagree with you, but I don't.
Dylan, we already know what your top 5 list is. It's all 5 Hunger Games.
Yes. Thank you for spoiling it for the audience.
There are only 4 Hunger Games, Dylan. There are only 4.
Derek,
gotcha.
I know, but I put one twice.
Okay. Good joke.
Derek, do you have any honorable mentions?
I guess. Sure.
You would know. You would know if you had honorable mentions because you'd already have it.
I mean, I really don't, but I can just because I feel bad for not having any. I'll go throw this out there. This is probably both your guys' top 5s, but this was a film that I only saw once, and I honestly didn't love it like everybody else. But I feel like I should give it another chance, and it's The Silver Linings Playbook.
Okay.
I don't know. Everybody loved it, and I saw it once, and I was like, yeah, it was okay. I mean, I know it's the one she won the Oscar for, and all this, but I don't know. I need to watch it again. I'm a big fan of David O. Russell, but I just didn't love this like some of his other films. So I guess that's my honorable mention.
Didn't expect that.
And you know what? Actually, I don't have a problem with that because we did a hybrid list. Silver Linings Playbook made it on my list, but I am not particularly a big fan of her performance in that film either. I thought it's a very good film in general. I mean, Robert De Niro is amazing in it, and Bradley Cooper gives one of his best performances. I actually didn't think she was all that great, and to me, Silver Linings Playbook was a payoff for better performances she gave previous in her career.
Okay.
And so I would put it in honorable mentions, but because I thought the movie was good enough, it gets bumped up to being on my list.
All right, let's start with our number 5s. I'll go first. My number 5 is American Hustle.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all you have to say?
Yeah. We didn't just spend forever on this.
Fair enough. My number 5 is actually Serena. another film that she made with Bradley
I've
Cooper.
actually never seen that.
So, and I hadn't seen it either. And for this podcast, I thought, you know what? I'm going to put in the work because Dylan Shuck requires that his guests come in ready to go, A+ level. And so I don't want to show up bringing some sort of sad, tired game, Dylan Shuck. I want to be here for you. So I watched Serena because it's the only J Law movie that's on Netflix, and she's actually really good in it. It's a story of a 1930s logging operation that Bradley Cooper owns, and he finds her, he meets her, he woos her, he brings her back as his wife, and she's a badass. She's a badass at the entirety of the film. She's showing up, and she's able to do all kinds of. She's able to take gender roles and turn them on their head in this 1930s. She looks great. The movie itself is very poor. The problem is that none of these elements kind of congeal together in a way that tells a really interesting story. And so, for me, it doesn't make my list because Serena is not a good movie, but she gives a really good villainous performance. I mean, she's both badass and also turns out to be kind of the person that you end up not liking very much because of the actions that she does. So number 5 is Serena for me. And you can see it on Netflix.
Interesting.
What's your number 5?
I've seen it, but it's been a couple years. I barely remember that movie. I remember like one scene of that movie. I will get into it. Anyways,
was it the hand chopping scene?
It was
in Depression era North Carolina, the future of George Pemberton's timber empire becomes complicated when he marries Serena.
Yes.
Spaghetti-o.
Okay. I will go ahead and say that my list is not based on her performances, more just the films themselves that I enjoyed. Although my number 1 is also, I think, one of her best performances. So that one, kind of the number 1 works out, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
My number 5 is The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 2.
Interesting.
I overall enjoyed the series, but that's one of the better ones out of the series. I think I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid conclusion.
I have to say, I did not like any of them except for the first one.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I think that it had some really dark, messed up moments that I kind of like. Was like, all right, I like it that you did that. So I enjoyed it. That's my number 5.
What's your number 4? Me. My number 4 is one of the 3 David O. Russell movies that are on my list. I thought the movie itself, honestly, was a little underrated. I don't think enough people. I just think it came out at the rush at the end of 2015, and it kind of got swept under a rug almost. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't want to say thoroughly enjoyed it, but I liked it better than it got credit for, and that's Joy.
Okay.
And that is the story of Joy, who rose to become founder and matriarch of a powerful family business dynasty. So
interesting.
For that, I think that I think the movie should have gotten a little better credit for. But I remember enjoying it enough. So Joy is mine.
I'd be interested if you see Serena, if you felt like there was some sort of overlap, because Serena is a lot about this lady who becomes essentially a by de facto business owner because she moves into her husband's timber factory, and so I wonder how much overlap there is between the two characters. Or if I'd like Joy more, because I didn't see it, so I don't know what kind of experience I would have with Joy.
She did 4 movies with Bradley Cooper.
Right.
Holy.
Too many. Too many.
He did do. I never realized that.
Silver Lining Playbooks, American Hustle, Joy, and Serena, all with Bradley.
Wow.
And Serena is the one by far, because they're the couple, and they're like making out through like 30% of the film. 30% of the film is, and I mean, you could just watch it. And so I feel like maybe that. I wonder which one was the last one. I wonder if it's Serena. She was like, you know what? I've had enough of you, Bradley Cooper.
Have you guys seen The Beaver?
I have not seen The Beaver, but I want to see it.
I've seen it, but it's been years. I remember it,
Jodie
but it's
Foster directed, Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even remember Jennifer Lawrence's role in that film. That's how long it's been since I've seen that movie.
She must have been pretty small.
I think she. Anyway,
that sounds right.
Anyway, you know what? Can we truck along, please?
Kyle, what? Kyle.
Brandon. Kyle. I'm Brandon. My brother's name is Kyle.
Brandon.
Dylan, suck. Are you hungover, Dylan? Dylan, did you drive until 4 a.m. last night?
Don't you worry, my friend. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Silver Linings Playbook, which I think I discussed enough. Let's move on.
That's fair.
What's your number 4, Derek Miranda?
My number 4 is X-Men First Class.
Okay.
Is that for the movie or for her performance?
More for the movie. X-Men is one of those series that has like some really great films and some really terrible films. And First Class is definitely in the camp of the better films. I really enjoy Matthew Vaughn. He's one of my favorite directors working today, and he kind of came in to where X-Men was kind of in this dark time and made it kind of fun and exciting again. So I gotta give him props for that.
The choice of Fassbender and
McAvoy,
that makes that movie for me. Those two guys working together as those characters was just absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant casting. And
yes.
So the problem is that the reason why I didn't, and maybe, as Mystique would be an honorable mention, the problem I had was that everybody else paled in comparison to with how alive and exciting watching McAvoy and Fassbender as Xavier and Magneto was. And so for me, it was like, this movie's great because of those guys, and it makes J-Law seem even less interesting, as well as all the other characters, especially Zoe Saldana, who was terrible.
Let's get into...
No, Zoe Kravitz.
Okay, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, wrong Zoe.
Yeah, wrong Zoe.
Number 3, which has Lenny Kravitz in it, which is the first The Hunger Games, which is the only one that I really liked. I was surprised by it in a time where, Twilight was, taking over all over the place, and The Hunger Games came out, and you think it's going to be another crap like that, and ended up being an actually pretty enjoyable movie, based on the same idea that Battle Royale was based on, and I own Battle Royale on Blu-ray myself, so.
What a big shot!
And Hunger Games is my number 2. I mean, my number 3. What's your number 3, Brandon, the brother of Kyle?
My number 3 is American Hustle, and American Hustle. If we're gonna go hybrid, Jennifer Lawrence has a pretty small part in it, and it's fine. And it's a part of. I don't know what's happening with Jennifer Lawrence in that, and I think that American Hustle and Silver Linings Playbook kind of set the tone where it's like Jennifer Lawrence loves playing against older men. And it really stuck out how much people were excited to put her against older men in American Hustle, where she was playing against incredibly fat, incredibly bald, incredibly old Christian Bale. And it was just like, man, guys, please, why are we casting her like this? I feel like somehow something has happened to J-Law where she's like, oh, these are the roles I want to take. And maybe it's because it's the men that she dates in real life and she feels some sort of some comfort there, or some sort of safety there, but like, so American Hustle, great movie. Absolutely love Amy Adams. Absolutely loved Bradley Cooper. Like, great performances. I think it's probably David Russell's best film. I absolutely love it. And J-Law is good in it. She's not great in it. She's just fine. It's just weird to me, the trend that sort of came out of that arc of films that she was making, as far as, and that we see continued into the film that we're talking about, Mother.
Let's go to your number 3, Eric Miranda.
My number 3 is another Hunger Games film, Hunger Games Catching Fire, the second film in the series, and my personal favorite of that series. I thought it was the best film. I thought, once again, it had some cool dark moments. I also loved the transition from regular format to the IMAX format, like in the movie when they like enter into the arena, start the games. I thought that was really cool. But I think it's overall, like I said, I enjoy the series, but I think Catching Fire is like the best of that series by far. So
by far,
maybe not by far. Okay, maybe not by far. No, not by far. But it is
not by far.
Not by far. I take that back. I don't know why I said that. I just like to go to extremes.
Listen. I'm here to. You're against a cliff. I want to walk you back. I just want to talk you back. I want to keep you safe in my arms. You know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because the Watch and Talk listeners and followers will blast your ass online.
They'll be like, literally get tweet.
How dare you say that by far?
You will
Not by
get
far.
tweet about it.
Not by far.
At least a tweet.
Like
Uh,
catching
One guy in
fire.
the YouTube channel will be like, this
all
guy.
right. Number 2 for me is Silver Linings Playbook. I think not only for the movie itself, but I think for her performance. I think she does one of her best performances in that movie. I know that might not be a popular opinion in this this chat, but that's of my.
No. Here's the thing about J Law is that she, for the most part, is a very competent actor. She starts at a B plus, and then
Obsessed with calling her J Law. By the way, I just have to say.
The problem is that if I call her Jennifer Lawrence, I'm going to mess up and say it wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to say Jennifer and then Lawrence.
It's 2 first names.
Got it.
2 first names is freaky, bro.
Jennifer Lawrence of Arabia.
I'm going to start. Arabia is what I'm going to start calling her.
I guess the other thing that bugs me about that is that she was won Best Actress in the same year that Jessica Chastain was up for Best Actress for Zero Dark 30.
Right.
And I really wanted Jessica Chastain to win that year because I thought she killed it in Zero Dark 30. So
Jessica Chastain gave the best performance of her career in Zero Dark 30. The problem is that like it's a limited performance in that in Zero Dark 30 she basically just had to do one thing, and she did it absolutely perfectly. It was a masterful performance of doing that thing. I thought that Silver Linings Playbook had a little bit more nuance to it and had a little bit more of a range to the way that she had to deal with the problems of the character. And so I can understand. And also, she had done a ton of other movies. Jessica Chastain hadn't put out a lot of great work before that. I feel like Zero Dark 30 was really like the crowning achievement.
Okay.
But
agree.
I love Zero Dark 30, and I love Catherine Bigelow. I think she's a great director. I didn't see Detroit. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, check out Detroit.
I will.
So what's your Brandon? What's your number 2 Jennifer Martin Lawrence film?
Hunger Games.
The
Games.
The first one.
I volunteer as tribute. Kills me every time. She does it a little bit better than me. I feel like it was actually her and me up for the role. A lot of people don't know that. It was me and her, and they just had us walk in and say, I volunteer as tribute. And I gave a really good read, but hers was a little bit better. Respect.
A little better.
Respect. But so Hunger Games Part 1 blew my effing mind. I absolutely love that film. The author of the book said that she had this kind of idea of a reality show for children, and it kind of extrapolated from that. Obviously, Battle Royale feels like it plays a big part. I don't know. I'm not going to say that she knew about that film. The Hunger Games Part 1, absolutely fantastic concept, absolutely fantastic execution, really affecting tale about what can happen in the future if we don't value the right things, or if we worry about classist systems. And that movie only succeeds because Jennifer Lawrence gives such an amazing performance. And the movie really rests on her back, and she easily carries it. And her emotional highs are super high. She's super tough. She's super strong, but also very vulnerable. The romance between her and Liam Hemsworth is really good. And for me, I actually
is what you want to say, huh?
I actually disliked the Hunger Games past Part 1. Part 1, I'll tell you why. And I understand, and I respect your liking of Part 2. Part 1 to me was about the dangers of authoritarian regimes and falling in the line and having groupthink.
It's almost like we struggled to say the word regimes.
Regimes.
Okay.
J-Law. And so Part 1 to me felt the most realistic and the most dangerous. And Part 2 to me was about the dangers of fame. Part 2 to me was about what it was like being a celebrity and having to deal with that. And I was like, I don't care. I literally don't care about the fact that Katniss is now a celebrity and she has to deal with that. And for me, Part 2 and beyond, Part 2 had Jeffrey Wright was great in Part 2. And shoot, what's that other actress? The actress who had the hatchets who played the top
Jenna
lady.
Malone.
Jenna Malone, great. A lot of great secondary roles, a lot of great character roles in that film. But the film itself didn't tell me a story that I cared about. And so Hunger Games Part 2 is not on my list, or any of the other Hunger Games. But Hunger Games Part 1 is bomb diggity. I believe the kids still say that. I'm not sure. Dylan, you tell me.
The kids are still saying bomb diggity.
They will always say bomb diggity.
Hells yeah.
What's your number 2, Derek Miranda?
My number 2 is another
poop.
franchise film. It is X-Men: Days of Future Past.
You've
This
guy
had
is
Hunger. Haven't you only named Hunger Games and?
No, he said
Yes. It's
And-
only been Hunger Games and X-Men movies
and
so far.
X-Men?
Yes. Yes. Honestly, like, it was frustrating for me to make this list. I was like, damn it, like, half her filmography is franchise movies. The other half of filmography, for the most part, are films that I was really anticipating and then was ultimately very disappointed in. So it was really hard for me to make this list. It's not my favorite list, but I just, I did my best.
This is a growth mindset. Take a growth mindset, Derek. This is about you learning. This is about you challenging yourself. Featuring Jennifer Lawrence.
Exactly. But
this would be the day that you'll remember. 9/16/2017, the day that you learned about J-Law.
I will remember that. It will go down, which will go down in infamy. Anyways, number 2, Days of Future Past. I remember seeing this theater being like, holy crap, this is the coolest X-Men movie I've ever seen. I mean, this is one of the longest running franchises. I mean, the first X-Men came out 17 years ago, the year 2000. Like, I was like the summer before I started high school, and it's still going. And like I said, there's been dark times and high points in the series, but Future Past is one of the highest points it's reached.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
This was just one of the most fun comic book films I've seen, and I really enjoy it, and so that's why it's my number 2.
Days of Future Past was a really good film for the parts that took place in the 70s. I could not stand anything that was happening in that, like, we have to figure out what's happening now. We got to send people back in time. Like, that movie was a half-good movie to me.
Really? You didn't like that opening action scene? Really?
Like, Halle Berry's Storm to me is a problem in general. I feel like she does a very poor job other than the first film.
Uh-huh.
And the problem is there were really no stakes. I didn't feel like there were a lot of stakes. Like, Logan, for instance, had a ton of stakes in it. And Logan was a super championship film as far as the X-Men world is concerned. And Days of Future Past had a really great 70s sequence. Peter Dinklage was amazing. And so it had some really good stuff. But, like, that was a tough one for me.
Okay. That's fair.
My number 1 is Winter's Bone.
Hells yeah!
It was just fun seeing her uncover this noir-ish mystery as a young teenager that was forced to be way more of an adult than she already was. And the stakes were very well placed on that one. So it was just great to see her give her performance at such a young age and have to do such a mature movie.
Dylan, did you drink a bunch of NyQuil before you did this episode?
No.
Because I was like the saddest, like, I guess she was pretty good in that. Like, Winter's Bone was amazing, dude. I'm jumping in, Derek. Winter's Bone is my number 1 because it is the film where I watched it and I went, oh my God, this girl is a superstar. That film is her performance. And it is this Odyssean
I didn't
journey.
see it until she was really famous. So
Okay, so I saw it the year it came out in the theater. And it blew my mind. It was like this it was the direct antithesis to Logan's Lucky, where it felt very real. It felt very grounded and was based on Jennifer Lawrence's fantastic performance in Winter's Bone. And just, you experience all the things that she's feeling. You experience all the things that she's seeing. I mean, that movie is, from beginning to end, perfect. It's an absolutely fantastic film for me. It's exactly in the wheelhouse of things that I like, which is grounded performance, gritty reality, interesting characters, and a great lead character. And Jennifer Lawrence did a absolutely fantastic job. So Winter's Bone, number 1 with a bullet. I can't imagine that J-Law will ever have a performance that I like more than she had in Winter's Bone.
Oh, goodness. She has her whole life.
She has her whole life. It's all
years.
downhill from here, baby.
Like
have you seen Mother? It's all downhill from here, baby.
Derek, what's your number 1? Is it an X-Men movie or a Hunger Games?
It's not. My number 1 is American Hustle. It is one of my favorite David O. Russell films.
It's your only favorite David O. Russell film, apparently.
Well, no, I actually really love The Fighter, but she was not in The Fighter. And I love Three Kings. I still love Three Kings. But American Hustle was one of my favorite films in 2013. I thought she gave one of her best performances. Definitely Oscar worthy. She was one of my favorites for that Oscar, but I mean, Lupita just killed it in 12 Years a Slave, so I have no problem with Lupita winning that Oscar. But Jennifer Lawrence, I think, gave a very incredible performance. I love that film all around. I love the 70s feel. I loved, like you said, Amy Adams and Christian Bale and Louis. Louis was in it. Everybody. I really love that film. So that is my number one.
Have you seen Winter's Bone?
So here's the thing. I have not seen Winter's Bone since it came out. I honestly just don't remember. Once again, I guess I didn't prepare like you. I've forgotten the film. I remember it didn't blow me away when I saw it, but I remember enjoying it. I just need to revisit it, and then maybe I would tweak my list after that. It's been too long, and I just kind of forgot. So
I'm going to say you have 1 week to watch Winter's Bone, and let's see if it jumps up somewhere on the list. Other than the 45 Hunger Games and the 12,000 X-Men movies that you've listed.
Yeah, I just felt really shitty making this list. I didn't enjoy it.
I'm only throwing shade because I think it's a lot of fun.
Very, very fair. But yeah, I just need to revisit it. And it's a bummer too because I really love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's one of the best actresses working today. And it's a bummer because a lot of movies she's come out recently, I remember being like, "Oh my god, that looks amazing," and then I walked out not liking it. Joy, I'll admit, I was very disappointed in Joy. Passengers, don't even get me started on Passengers. I thought it looked incredible, and then I
definitely passed on Passengers.
It was Passengers was probably my biggest disappointment of last year. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, the trailer lied to us and with Passengers, it told us that we were going to see a different movie than we ended up seeing.
Yeah.
Completely. And we might be discussing another movie that the trailers also lied.
For real.
Speaking of which, let's get into our featured review, which is of Mother.
Mother!
The plot summary of the film is a couple's relationship is tested when uninvited guests arrive at their home, disrupting their tranquil existence. This film is written and directed by Darren Aronofsky, who has directed movies Requiem for a Dream and Pi and not The Fighter,
The Wrestler.
The Fountain.
The Wrestler.
The Fountain and Black Swan.
Black Swan.
And Noah.
And
he was supposed to direct Serena, but then dropped out. Little tip.
He was also an executive producer on The Fighter, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
He also almost directed the Wolverine movie.
The first one?
The first one. There was talks of him doing a Wolverine movie.
That would be weird.
But then James Mangold did it, yeah.
Interesting. The first one. Again.
Yeah,
not the X-Men Origins Wolverine, but the one that came out in 2013 where he's in Japan. Like, there was talks of him directing that.
Oh, okay. That one actually wasn't that bad until the very end.
Yeah, also, why didn't you say that?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Sorry, yeah.
So, we'll start off with Brandon.
Yes,
and you
please.
give your non-spoiler review of the movie. We're not going to give any spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen basically the trailer.
There's not going to be a lot to say.
And then we'll have our spoiler section right afterward. I don't think we're going to talk for too long.
This is going to be a 30-second spoiler section before we get to the non-spoilers.
You mean non-spoiler section.
Non-spoilers before we get to spoilers.
Yes, exactly.
And give your letter grade.
The non-spoiler review of this film is that the thing that's interesting to me about this film is that it is a big swing. This is a film that I think that, like a lot of films made by well-known directors, eventually they get enough clout and money and time and people behind them and yay-sayers and sycophants to go, every idea is good. You can do whatever you want. And I feel like, to me, Mother felt like I've got this idea. I don't know if it works. I'm going to try it out anyway. And that was my big problem with Mother, was that, and I'm going to talk much more in depth about it when we get into the spoiler section. But Mother is a movie that is either, depending on who you are, it's either a 4-star or a negative 4-star. You're either going to hate this movie or you'll probably really, really, really like it. I can't imagine anybody walking out of the theater going, I just watched it. It wasn't entertaining. There was no part of this film that I thought was like, it's just for entertainment. It's just something that you can sit in. Like, It is a movie for entertainment. Logan Lucky is a movie for entertainment. You can just sit in there and you go, I'm watching this film. There are these characters. Things are happening.
They also have a narrative story that they're telling, and Mother does not.
Well, Dylan, please. This is my section, okay? This is my section. It's your show.
Dylan.
This is my section. But no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in that. And I didn't want to, because here's the thing about Mother. If you're going to see Mother, and if you like Darren Aronofsky, if you like disjointed films, if you like abstract films, if you like films that are more metaphor than they are anything else, go see Mother. Give it a chance. You may hate it, and that's okay. It's okay I think it's okay. My girlfriend, my fiance now, said, she was disappointed that she spent the time watching the film. I didn't feel that way. I am glad that I watched the film. That being said, I did not enjoy it. I appreciated what he was trying to do, but I could not enjoy the film for various reasons that we'll get into in the spoiler portion. I give this film a D+. It is not a failure. It's not a failure of a film. And I think that if I had a different mindset for the film, or if I had a different desire for, or if he done little tweaks, I would have had a much higher grade of this film. But for the most part, I found it pretty annoying and not successful. That being said, I can see why people would like it. That's my non-spoiler review.
All right, Derek, what's your non-spoiler review and grade of the film?
Okay, so I came into this movie, obviously I came into this movie knowing very little because they overall didn't tell you much with this film.
Had you seen the trailer?
I had seen the trailers, yes, but the trailers didn't really give anything. They didn't really tell you much about this film. It's one of those.
Didn't tell you anything. They lied to you.
No, I think you're onto something, which is I think that this is a film where they didn't want you to know what you're getting into. All the reviews I read was like, don't know anything about this film before you see it.
Yeah, I went in knowing virtually nothing, but I did still kind of develop my own thoughts on what the kind of film what it was gonna be, and those thoughts were wrong. I would admit, I wasn't expecting this and got that. Having said that, though, I did love this film.
Awesome.
I agree with you, Brandon, in that this is a movie that's divisive. You're gonna love this movie or you're gonna hate it, and a lot of people hated it. I remember when this movie ended, I saw it, Thursday night. This girl stood up in the theater and asked out loud, "Did anybody understand that movie?" And everybody behind me was like, "Nope, I didn't say anything. But
imagine if you had. Imagine if you turned around and be like, "Yes, I totally understood it. Now let me mansplain it to you, stupid idiot."
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything. Also, I was still just processing my feelings at that point. Like, this is a film that, like, I need time to think about this and think about what I just saw and figure out how I felt. And I thought about it pretty much nonstop since Thursday night. And looking back, yes, I love this film. It's definitely not for everybody. It's like you said, this is not a traditional narrative. It's a couple, and this happens, then this happens, and they got to save the world or whatever. Like, this is not. This is like an experimental film. This is not a film you go just casually watch. This is a film that doesn't have a traditional plot or narrative. It's just something you experience. And for me, I fully experienced it. I went in. This film grabbed onto me, and it did not let go till the end. And
I just don't see how that happened.
I mean, exactly. It doesn't for everybody. For me, it did. I loved it. I like when we get into spoilers, I'll say what I thought it was going to be about, but I won't get into that now. But I thought it was well shot. I loved the way the camera moved around. I loved.
We're going to have some discussions about that.
Yes,
friends.
Yes, definitely. Once again, it's divisive how this was shot. We'll talk about this. But I thought Jennifer Lawrence was great. I thought Javier Bardem was great. I thought the supporting roles were all great. So I'm going to give this film an A-.
Okay.
All right. So when I walk away from this movie, I'm thinking, okay, how do I say something that how do I make sure I'm not going to say something that I'm going to end up regretting?
Dylan, you have no regrets.
Yeah, but I do all the time. Sometimes when I'm hasty to jump on a movie.
Late at night when you're lying in bed.
I think Brandon worded it really well. This is not a failure. He did what he was trying to do. It's just that's what he was trying to do isn't the type of I don't even want to say story because it's not even really a story.
No, it's an experience.
Yeah, this isn't really what I was looking for in a movie. Now, I went into it with a different experience than both of you guys because I didn't see the trailer at all. I knew nothing other than Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem was in it, and Jennifer Lawrence, and somebody was like, "What are you going to go see?" in Mother, and they're like, is that like that horror movie?" And I'm like, "Stop! Don't tell me anything." And they're like, "I don't know anything," and I'm like, "Shit."
You don't even know that? You,
No,
you-
Dylan and I are the exact same.
I don't know what they're gonna say. Like, I don't know what they're gonna say
I
next.
don't-
I'm like, they're gonna be, isn't it that movie that's about this and that or whatever? I'm like, I'm just stopping them right there in their tracks and be like,
Yes.
I want to go experience this movie without knowing anything about it, which was an unsettling experience. And then I went and saw the trailer afterward, and I was like, that's bullshit. That's not what this movie is at all. The fact that the general public think this is a horror thriller is just wrong, because it's not. It borrows some horror elements, but borrows them and uses them sporadically. I was never scared in this movie at all. And
I don't think it was. I mean, it had jump scares, maybe, but here's the thing I want to touch about. And I want to add to that, Dylan, and give you some information, and I want to hear what you have to say about it. So the two things that are interesting to me. Number one, this film has a cinema score of an F. It's one of the only films. There's like 8 films: Killing Them Softly, Solaris, Bug, Wolf Creek, Darkness, The Box, Silent House, and The Devil Inside are the only films that get a cinema score of F. Do you guys know what a cinema score is?
Yeah, I actually read about this today.
user
Yeah,
rating.
it got an F.
So yeah, it's a cinema score is basically like some guy was like, hey, I want to know what people actually think rather than the critics and what the critics have to say. I want to know what people have to say. And so they give out these cards in like 25 different cities all across the United States, and they say basically just tab off what you think of this movie. Like, did you like the lead? What's your age range? What's your gender? And this is one of the very few movies that gets an F. And what's interesting about cinema scores, it's very good at charting how well a movie will do in the theaters. Like Titanic was an A+, and King's Speech was an A+, Avengers was an A+, Argo was an A+. And so to get into that F range...
Also, that predicates on you, like, it being a type of movie that you can immediately like, and you can't need time to think about.
And that's the thing. I think and so like the movies that get Fs are generally the ones that are psychological in nature, where it's tough for people to just kind of sit back and enjoy. But the thing I was going to say is that I think that Paramount, who is a major movie studio who took a chance on this film, knew when they were doing the marketing for this, like, we don't know how to sell this movie.
Yeah.
So let's try to fit it into these genre-specific roles. Because one of the tabs on the cinema scorecard is I like the genre. And the problem is that Mother doesn't have a genre.
No.
Other than like experimental.
Nope, doesn't have a genre.
Metaphorical film. And so I think that the problem is that when they tried to sell this film, they went, we have stars, and we can cut this trailer to make it seem like a something. And let's see if we can get a big first weekend box office to cover the cost of this $35 or $40 million film, and know that we're going to take a wash. Because once people know about this film, it's going to drop down to like a 10% viewer base.
That's true.
The tomato meter is 69% and audience score is 43%.
Exactly.
The 26% difference between critics and regular people.
And
this movie's also not doing well so far.
It's going to fail. It's going to make $8 million probably, and they were hoping for 12 or 13.
The idea that the tomato meter is what hurts movies is ridiculous. When you
they've disproven that. I mean, it's basically it's executives who are like, oh, it's tomato meters ruined our thing. And like, no, it's actually because you put out a bunch of shitty movies that nobody wants to see.
Exactly.
But I think that
the
thing about this
Paramount's lucky that viewers don't think, hey, Paramount lied to us about this movie. We don't know if we're going to trust them about the next movie the way they would a politician. Right? Like, it's interesting that...
Chuck, always getting political up in the Watson talk.
But I'm saying it's interesting that they don't now blame... Like, if somebody was like, hey, that trailer was deceptive, we're not going to trust Paramount anymore. That never, ever, ever, ever happens. That's like...
the casual moviegoer isn't like, oh, I remember these studios.
I'm just
like,
saying there's no
Disney,
punishment. There's no punishment for false marketing of your film.
Except what I think that's going to happen...
Same thing happened with Collateral Beauty. Same thing happened with Passengers.
Dylan, here's the thing, is that they say that people will probably get fired. And so that's the ultimate cost, is that the guy who decided to do the marketing for this film, or the guy who greenlit Mother in the first place, is probably going to lose his job.
I don't know.
And so maybe the public won't have a reaction, but somebody in that interior will be like, listen, dude, you made us, we put $40 million towards this film. We made 12. That's a $30 million deficit. Why would we trust you in our organization to continue to greenlight movies?
But anyway, as you see this, you feel like you're being told examples of a story.
Sure.
and you're getting metaphors toward a story, but you're not getting an actual story itself. At one point in this movie, you're like, "Oh, this isn't actually happening. This is all."
Totally agree.
Is this a hallucin? Is she hallucinating?
Is it a dream state? Is she in limbo?
Exactly. What the hell is going on? Like, she must be hallucinating this. But then it's
Can we please get to the spoiler section?
But time is going by quickly also. So it's not even a hallucination because time is not moving at the same speed that reality is.
And she has real feelings. She has real feelings. So it's like, if it's a metaphor, they'd find ways of making it so that she would be less than human or maybe above human. Right. And she's just purely human in a lot of ways. And people are purely human. And so it's like, well, don't that was my big problem with this film, and I'm going to jump into it now. It was that for me, it couldn't seem to figure out whether it was trying to tell a grounded story with real characters or a pure metaphor, and it kept flip-flopping between the two rather than interweaving them.
Yeah.
Maybe Derek doesn't agree with that. Maybe Derek's like, "Nah, man, I got it. Y'all are dumb." See, this to me, the movie is a y'all are dumb movie. That's why the critics are loving it so much.
Another way of saying that is
you
pretentious.
Just didn't get it.
Is pretentious.
It's 100% pretentious. But the problem that I have with this movie is that, to me, a lot of it felt like I am very smart /R/I am very smart, rather than it being, I don't know. This movie was rough for me, but I'm ready to move on to the spoiler section.
All right.
What's the score, Dylan?
My grade for the film is a C+. It's no failure in any way, shape, or form. It's just the experience isn't an experience that I enjoyed. I will never see this movie again. But you
still give it a C+.
Zero interest in seeing this movie. What?
You still give it a C+. C+ is a pretty good score.
To me, it's not.
Okay, so so is your bottom? I mean, I remember The Circle, of course, was your first F. I felt so pleased with that. Like, I was so happy.
Right. So
she gave it an F in The Circle.
Yeah, so I'm balancing that. I think this was I mean, how this movie was crafted together is mind-blowing. And they did a really good job of it. Also, the performances were really good, I felt like. And, like, Michelle Pfeiffer was great in this movie. Javier Bardem was great in this movie. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence was great in this movie. So this movie's not a failure, right? So I'm balancing between this movie succeeded at what it went for. It's just what it went for isn't what I want to see. So my grade isn't is this movie for me? It's how did this movie come together with everything? So,
I'm bumping it up to C-. I went from D+ to C-. You influenced me.
There we go. I can.
That's C-.
There we go.
All right, I respect that. I respect your objective view there.
All right, so Brandon, why don't you tell people where they can follow you online?
I'm at Brandon Gilbreck on the Twitters, and then you can also send me a letter to my house, which is 1010 Raleigh in Glendale, California.
I hope that you actually give your actual address, and that actually ends up biting you in the ass.
Dylan, why don't you drive to my house and find out?
Derek,
I'm gonna start writing letters now, and we're gonna become pen pals. Just wait.
What's nice is that I'm in an apartment building, so people will have to go to each apartment to figure out which one I'm in.
Oh no! All right, I take it back.
And there are 4,000 units.
Got it. So people will start knocking.
Start knocking.
Derek, where can people follow you on the internet in case they don't want to listen to our spoilers?
If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Derek Miranda85. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's just Derek Miranda. I like to take pictures. I don't tweet much, but I Instagram much.
Are you related to Lin-Manuel? I bet you get that a lot.
Actually, I've never been asked that.
What?
Surprisingly. Nobody's ever asked me that before.
What?
If you want to follow me at Shuckster, that's SCHUCKSTER. New podcast called The Deuce Drop for the new show on HBO called The Deuce.
Is that a poop show?
If you want to listen to that podcast, it's thedeucedrop.com, or you can search for The Deuce Drop in your podcast app. For the show, you can follow us at The Watch and Talk. You can go to our Instagram at The Watch and Talk. You can email us at thewatchtalk@gmail.com. Go to our website at thewatchtalk.com or our Facebook at facebook.com/thewatchandtalk. Next week, we're going to be reviewing Kingsman 2.
Yes!
Ooh, the Kingsman 1 was so good. Matthew Vaughn, man. That guy kills it.
I just could not be looking less forward to Kingsman 2.
I'm so excited about it.
I cannot believe what the trailer spoiled. I'm just so frustrated by it.
Don't watch trailers.
I have no choice. I go to movies. I have to see trailers sometimes.
I closed my eyes and I plugged my ears for Blade Runner 2049 because I do not want to know. I don't even want to have any inkling of what's happening.
Yeah,
I can't stop watching those trailers. I can't help it. I love trailers. Just give it to me.
Just-
Give it all to me. Yeah, I'm excited for Kingsman. Dylan, I want to be on that podcast too.
Okay.
That's just me.
All right. Without further ado, let's switch to spoilers. Okay, so I'm going to try to work out what I think the metaphor is, and you guys can kind of jump in and fill in blanks when it's needed.
Okay.
From what I gather and what I read about also is that that Jennifer Lawrence is Mother Earth and Javier Bardem is God.
Yep, I agree.
You're right and you're wrong.
Well, he wants their worships. He forgives them for trashing their house. Their house is Earth. Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer are Adam and Eve, and there's like that injury on his side that is how Eve was formed, was from a rib from Adam in the first place.
I missed that aspect of it. Okay.
No, yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, and they basically eat the forbidden fruit. The kids fighting are Cain and Abel, the brothers that the brothers made sacrifices to God, each of their own produce, but God favored Abel's sacrifice instead of Cain's. Cain murdered Abel. God punished Cain to a life of wandering, but set a mark on him so that no man would kill him.
Right. And
people
then,
on the counter caused the freaking eventually to break because they didn't listen, and then that caused a flood of sorts. He gets her pregnant, and then the whole world of human population kind of just explodes at that time while she's pregnant. And then the baby was born. It's the Son of God, which is Jesus, which is killed, and then they eat the body of Christ. People start blessing people in His name, in a similar way that people do with here on Earth and all that kind of stuff. So you see the metaphor, continue on as it goes along, but.
Yes. So, and I totally agree with all that. I have a totally different interpretation of the metaphor of this film.
Okay.
Which is, a little bit of backstory. Darren Aronofsky was writing a children's film, and he totally failed at it. He felt that he was totally stuck. He couldn't actually figure out how to make this children's film work. And in crazy, inspired 5 days, he wrote out the majority of Mother, and then figured out how to make it.
Are you speculating on this?
No, I read this in an article, in an interview with him.
Yeah, this is true. He wrote Mother in days. He wrote
in 5 days is what he claims, and he says he's never like that. He
decompressed with
hold on, let me finish my story.
Well, hold on. I'm just saying. Then he spent Noah while he made Noah decompressing after writing Mother. So he wrote Mother, made Noah, and then made Mother afterwards.
No, he made Noah, tried to make the children's film, failed, and wrote Mother and made Mother within a year. Is what I read.
Yeah, I think Brandon's right. I think that's what I read.
And so Noah came out. He tried to make the children's film. It failed. He wrote and created Mother, and he shot it within 1 year because it's a very simple shoot and took no time. So to me, the film Mother is Darren Aronofsky jerking off. This is a movie about Darren Aronofsky jerking off, and I'll explain it in this way. It is a film about a great creator, a really brilliant guy who stumbles through the blocks of creativity, and it requires a muse, it requires a goddess of no name, some beautiful woman to just show up and unlock his creativity. He had inspiration from outside, and that over the course he was able to impregnate her, and that was his great idea. And over the course of time, he's also able to write and create these great works. And then what happens is that once he gets out these great works again, then people are like, oh my God, you're so great. He's got this publicist who's coming along to sell his product, and he's got these adoring fans, and that the women in his life are like, I don't want to share you with the world. I want you to just be mine. He's like, no, I can't. I'm too great an artist. I'm too great a poet. I'm too great at whatever. I'm a shining star in the world, and everybody wants to see me, and I'm sorry that's just the light you have to leave. And then the child that she bears is his great work. It's the great idea, and as he gives it out to the people, they do the worst thing they can do with it, which is that they ingest it. They kill his darling, they kill his dream, they kill his creative endeavor, and they eat it because they're stupid, horrible people. He's fighting through that war of getting this creative idea out, and then when he gives it to the people, what do? They destroy it, and they eat it. And the only way that he can make things right again is by destroying everything and starting the cycle all over again with a new goddess, a new muse, a new idea. And that to me is Darren Aronofsky jerking off on screen for 1 hour and 29 minutes, or 2 hours, whatever, how long it took.
It was 2 hours.
That's my
I was going to say, I also got the idea that that it was, kind of discussing Javier Bardem's character using women and how the cycle obviously himself, as he kind of takes everything from them. I don't know.
Right, and that was my big problem, is that like so much of this film was centered on the idea that there was no way for her to break free. Like in so many movies, most of the time, if there's an actual story, if there's an actual narrative, the person that's stuck in that cycle, because I knew from the very start that this was some sort of a cycle. The fact that it starts with the face, the burning of the house is renewed, and I was like, oh, this has all happened before. This is happening again. Like this is something that's going through another process, and so it would have really been nice to know that the muse of the goddess had some sort of agency. The problem that I had with this film, the problem I had with Jennifer Lawrence, was that she was just so simpering and weak and passive the whole time. It's like, why would I want to watch a person who has no ability to get themselves out of the situation that they're in? Like if she was a real person, in a lot of ways, she should be able to make choices. And she just didn't make any choice. Like the biggest choice she made was like, I'm going to push this guy's lighter off of a desk. I'm going to eventually tell people to get out. And like, why do I care? Why should I care about this lady or the poor decisions that she's making if she just chooses to be in them all the time, over and over? And it drove me crazy. I was annoyed by this film. This film did the worst thing to me, which it can possibly do, which is annoy me, by making its characters do things that don't make any damn sense.
Of course, nothing makes sense because this isn't an actual telling that happens within Earth and in its constructs of Earth, right? This is, again, hypothetical storytelling. So,
right.
But I have to say that it was grating. It was trying on my patience because I could tell that I was spending 2 hours not watching. Within the first hour, that you're not watching an actual story. So I'm like, what? I'm what's giving me isn't what's actually happening. So why should I be paying attention to it?
Yeah, Derek, what did you think?
You all make good points. I'll admit one of my complaints was that sometimes the pace did lag a little bit in the first half, but
Did you think there was any other metaphor? Did you see any other metaphorical telling of this story?
I only saw just the biblical metaphors that Dylan spoke of. What you said, honestly, I didn't think about it, but that makes sense. And
there's a third one. I thought maybe you might have seen this, but the third one is that he says that he wrote this as an environmental process. He thought of Jennifer Lawrence as the Earth, and that it's people destroying the planet.
Yeah.
And that it's her fighting back from that. And I was like, that's the problem with this movie. Too many damn metaphors, dude. Pick one.
No, she's not the Earth. Again, still, the house is still the Earth in this situation.
The house,
humans are destroying it, and she's trying to protect it.
They're like taking stuff. They're ripping phones off the wall. They're taking furniture. And she's like, what do you do? And that's why, I guess for me, it did bug me that she kind of to stay there was that this is her home. She puts so much love and work and care into it that she's not just gonna leave, or she's there this is my home, what are you doing to it? Right. So that was fine with me. Because it's frustrating, you want her to act out more, and she just there's also the part towards the end where she started slicing people out with the glass.
That was my favorite part. I was like, oh, she's finally going to do something. I was so pleased with that whole sequence.
Yeah, because she just lost it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I guess I'll take that as that's a metaphor for natural disasters.
Yeah. Sure.
Hurricanes, tornado, whatever. There's all these natural disasters going on right now. So I guess that's almost, the timing kind of works out perfectly in a fucked up way. But yes, it's definitely a metaphor for people trashing the planet and just taking, oh, this is mine, I need it, or just let me have all this. So I definitely got that part of it, and of course all the violence you see is the metaphor
people
for
painting the walls and stuff like that. She's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And they're like, "We're just trying to help. This is helping." And no, it's not helping. Stop doing that.
If you want to come to my house, I give you all my address. If you want to come to my house and paint, please feel free because we need a fresh coat.
But also, like, how she goes in different rooms and people do different things, and then the violence and how it gets more violent, just to show the progression of the violence of humanity. And just, you see the scene where there's people, they're starting to lock people up in the cages. And
yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it was all metaphor for, like, the progress, the evolution of humanity over time and how we've become more violent and we've done more terrible things in the name of God and so on.
Right. Well, in a very Western-focused way. Like, I didn't feel like this was a film that was telling the perspective of a lot of people in other countries. I feel like this is Darren Aronofsky telling, like, of a very Western mindset of what the Earth is like.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just me, maybe.
No, I can see that.
But so I'm curious to hear, like, what was it about this film that made it a triumph for you? Because you obviously loved it, and I'm curious to know, like, I think I totally respect your opinion, and I think that you're probably right about how you feel. Obviously, you're right about how you feel, but I'm interested in hearing why you liked it so much, or what made it about it that you loved.
I guess the aspect that I loved is just that it was just so different.
Okay.
Most films today are very formulaic, and even though I still love films, I mean, I people are like, oh, movies all suck today, and I definitely try not to have that opinion. I'm like, there's always bad films, there's always great films. Like, it's not like, oh, they only made them great in the 70s and everything sucks. Like,
right.
There's always good and bad. There's plenty of great films that come out every year.
Oh,
but
tons.
But to me, it was just that it was also just so different and broke away from the mold. And yeah, I feel like you don't get too many experimental films that often. So for me, it was just nice to see that again, because I've seen a lot of that. I mean, I've taken, like, a lot of foreign film classes. I've seen films like that before, and I appreciate that they're just trying to be so different. So it was just nice to have something different like that again. And I loved how just batshit crazy this got. It was fun. It was cool to see that. This movie is nuts.
Batshit crazy.
Yeah, and, like, even just some of the little cameos. I mean, we're spoilers. I can say it. I loved, like, some of the cameos. I love that Domhnall Gleeson was the Kane.
Yeah,
I was so mad about that.
Really? I was like, oh shit.
Not that he's Kane, that they wasted him. He is one of the best young actors working today. He is amazing in everything that he's in, and he's in 2 scenes in this movie. That really frustrated me.
What? I mean,
that's a good point.
I
would like to have seen him more.
People can. It's like you can't dock it for not showing somebody enough. They left you wanting more, which is better than
too much.
Than showing you too much.
Well, and I'll tell you what's too much. Take a guess. How many minutes is focused on Jennifer Lawrence in this film? Out of the 120 minutes, how many minutes do you think are focused on Jennifer Lawrence?
All of it.
110.
Okay, you're both wrong, and you know that. How many do you actually think?
I'm not joking.
You think 110 of just Jennifer Lawrence? Just Jennifer Lawrence's face?
100.
Of her face?
Of just her face and her body.
100
she's the only person
minutes.
in the film.
100 minutes.
100 minutes. Derek?
70.
66 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Jennifer Lawrence was focused on solely in this film for 66 of 120 minutes. It's too much. It was, by the end, I was sick of her. I was like, why are we, like, and I hated that chest-mounted Steadicam shot. It was interesting at the start, and then eventually I was like, this is a gimmick now. Now it's a gimmick to make it so that you're cutting off the rest of the field of view from the viewers, and you're making it so that she's and the problem is that she wasn't given anything to perform to. She was the same emotion the entire film for most of the film because of the fact of the metaphor. It limited her and how she could display her feelings about the film. That's why that attack scene, the scene with the glass, was so powerful for me, because it was finally her showing something other than just sitting around going, please stop. If I had $1 for every time she said, hey, I'd have $100 after that film.
That's true. But I guess I agree with that, but I didn't mind it. I liked it, so I guess that's just the difference. Like,
and I think that is the difference. But here's the thing: I loved Javier Bardem. I loved Ed Harris. I loved the other characters. I actually really liked the second act when everything was going.
What about Michelle Pfeiffer? Maybe you just don't.
I
like
didn't
women.
like Michelle Pfeiffer.
You did not.
And I'll tell you why. I
think you just have an issue with women.
No, I absolutely love women. But let me explain it. Have you guys ever seen this show called Battlestar Galactica?
No.
So Battlestar Galactica I've been doing a rewatch with Maria, my fiance, and there's a character named Ellen. And Ellen is the wife of a man named Colonel Ty. And they have literally the same performance. Ellen in Battlestar Galactica is also this like hard drinking, hard loving, too adventurous, too forward. And all I could see from Michelle Pfeiffer, and I'm sure it's just a coincidence, and so this is just on me, but all I could see was this other person from this other show that I've been watching. Straight, if you ever watch Battlestar Galactica, you will see that Ellen and Michelle Pfeiffer's character are the same character, and it's super frustrating. Because they have the same mannerisms. They even talk in the same way. I think it's just a coincidence, and that it's just how it goes. And I am not a huge Michelle Pfeiffer fan, as it turns out. I'm a huge Jennifer Lawrence fan. I think she's great. I mean, Winter's Bone is one of my favorite films of all time. So I don't have anything against Jennifer Lawrence. I don't like what they made her do in this film, and I don't like that she was so focused on. But Michelle Pfeiffer did not work for me. I thought she was really antagonizing in a way that lacked any kind of nuance. And it also makes you wonder if she's supposed to be Eve, what is Eve like in Darren Aronofsky's eyes? What kind of person is Eve supposed to be if you're sticking to that metaphor? What kind of person are he making Adam and Eve?
Right.
I guess the thing I can look at is that he portrayed Eve that way because, Eve's supposed to be the one who tempted Adam into the first sin. Like, it was like she's the one who said, hey, let's eat this fruit. Mm-hmm. So she was the temptation into sin originally. So right. I guess that's just my interpretation of what he's saying with that, is that like she was the one who was like the first sinner who tempted man.
Right. So Darren Aronofsky, right now, anti-feminist film is what you're saying. He hates women, and he wants them to suffer.
I think you hate women.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I just I was just
kidding. I was just kidding, guys. Guys, I was just kidding. Just having a gaff.
Anyway.
But yeah, I don't know. I also loved as far as cameos, I really loved Kristen Wiig in this. I like the fact that she just came out of nowhere. I was like, holy shit, Kristen Wiig is in this movie, and she just popping caps in skulls. I was nuts, and I loved it because I was like, holy shit, Kristen Wiig is shooting people in the fucking head right now.
But did you take that seriously?
I took it
because I laughed. I just started laughing. It was a ridiculous scene, and as soon as Kristen Wiig showed up, I went, "Oh, she's supposed to be a comedian." There's some elements. I know she does serious films, but all I could do is every scene she was in was just laugh. And so the issue with her casting was like she was so ridiculous and funny to me that it took the wind out of whatever message might have existed in her character. And I can understand for other people, maybe that didn't happen, maybe for you specifically. But for me, like, I just started laughing anytime I saw her.
No, I didn't think it was supposed to be serious. What's the word I'm looking for? I did think it was funny, but in like a...
Is it satirical or...
Yeah, like I kind of looked at it satirically, like in a... Yeah, I'll just say satirical. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah.
Do you know what he's trying to say?
No.
We'll just say...
What's up with the yellow powder that she used that she gave up when she had a baby? It was like
good question.
You know that I have not... I guess I kind of haven't thought about it, but I don't know.
Where would that fit in with the metaphor of Mother Earth or the biblical metaphor? I don't know the Bible.
Or for me, for creativity's purpose, she stopped taking it when two things happened. One, she got pregnant, and also he started writing again. And so for me, I thought that it was some sort of play on. It was her making herself more desirable through the material. She had heart problems, and whenever she had heart problems, she would take the stuff, and so it's sort of like her creating more love for her husband, or creating more desire for her husband to. And in this, they put a lot onto her, as in she's not doing enough for her husband, even if she's doing as much, and they keep downing on that, like, you must really love him. Oh God, you really love him. Wow, you really love him. And to me, like, that gold powder was you really love him. And everybody knows, Dylan, that once she gets pregnant, it doesn't matter if he loves her or not, because now she's got him. Dylan, you know. She got him. Snatched him.
She got him. Hook, line, and sinker. All right. Anything else we want to add, or are we ready to wrap this bad boy up?
No, I'm not ready to wrap up.
I would also just like to throw in, like how I said, like I thought it was going to be something else. I thought it was going to be, just going into the movie, just to throw it out there, my opinion originally is, like I said, the trailer didn't really give you, I definitely think there was some mismarketing there because they really showed it as like a horror thriller. So I went in thinking that Javier Bardem was going to be the devil, and these were just like Satanists coming to worship him. Like I really thought it was like a modern kind of rehashing of Rosemary's Baby, especially that they have those posters.
They did a lot of copying of Rosemary's Baby.
They did
definitely
their best
still had
they
it.
could.
It definitely still had it, but I thought it was going to be like, oh, like Javier Bardem's the devil, and she's going to give birth to like the son of Satan sort of thing, not the son of God. So it's just funny. Like that was kind of the idea I had in my head of what this movie was going to be about, and I was like, oh no, I was wrong.
Well, so the thing that I thought, the problem, the other weird thing was, and I'm curious to know what you guys like, and Dylan, this goes back to our Westworld watch. Every time she woke up, I felt like it was her resetting, and that turned out to be true because in the end of the film, spoiler alert, we're in the spoiler section, she dies and the circle starts again with a new person waking up, and now the cycle is started again with a not Jennifer Lawrence, a new muse, a new goddess. And so that was the other thing that was weird for me, is that the first, she wakes up in that moment and she goes looking around for her husband and she can't find him. And I was like, right from that start, I was like, do these people know each other? Are these people aware of each other's, like, I couldn't get any sense of their personal history. I couldn't get any sense of why they were together. I didn't really understand why, and at least they touched upon it, but like, why was he so much older than she was? I had to start building a backstory. Like, maybe she was a student at college. Maybe
they made a comment of, he was like, oh, that's your wife? I thought it was your daughter.
Yeah, and it happens a couple of times. Like Michelle Pfeiffer says, like, oh, she's such a young wife for you.
See, that works so much in the analogy of Mother Earth, and that God obviously is way older than Earth itself.
I mean,
God is ancient, and Mother Nature's young and fertile.
As an atheist, that's just nonsense. Number two, it doesn't even work for the metaphor because according to the Bible, if we're sticking to the Bible, guys, Earth was created in the third day. So, God existed for, I mean, I guess the idea is that God, we don't know how long God existed for, but it was like, hey, day 1, light and dark. Day 2,
that it means
sun and moon.
I think
day 3, earth and sea.
I'm no biblical scholar, but I don't think that the days mean the days that God has existed. I think that's the days that he's been creating.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that because the Jewish work is supposed to be interpreted, what I've read is supposed to be interpreted as sort of not necessarily metaphor, but definitely as it can be an exaggeration.
Yeah.
And that so it gives them an out to say, well, they don't really mean a day. Well, I mean, the other problem is that a day is based on the turn of the earth around on its axis. And God created light and dark, and then he created the sun and the moon, and then he created the earth on days after days. I mean, it's all nonsense.
Exactly. Like, even when they wrote the Old Testament, like, they wrote metaphorically. That was how they wrote at that time.
We assume. Not according to some Christians, but we're not. This is a political podcast. This isn't a political podcast. That's for Dylan's the politic and talk.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be a good podcast, Dylan. You should do the politic and talk.
The politic.
Good.
Not enough. Dylan, you haven't said nearly anything this time. You've been so quiet.
I mean, I said what I had to say because I don't have a lot to say about this movie, to be quite honest.
See, what's interesting to me is
the best I can do is try to pick through the analogy or the metaphor, and that's where the movie leaves me. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about this movie, like a lot of people.
Really?
Did. Yeah, there's nothing for me to think about. It's
okay.
I mean, a little bit, but I thought about it way more than I thought about Mother. Way more.
And I see that because I'll probably think about it more than I would think about. But after this podcast, I probably won't think about Mother again in my life.
Yeah, and I definitely won't see it again. I have no interest in seeing it again.
Oh no, I'll see it again. I was planning on seeing it this weekend.
No, I mean I won't see Mother again.
No, I mean it. I'm interested in seeing it again.
I'm gonna see both again. I would like to see it again in the theater, but I also really do want to see Mother again because I want to be able to pay attention and try to pick about to think about all the metaphors. Like even Dylan pointed out metaphors I didn't get that when they broke the sink that was the flood. I didn't catch that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense, but I want to go through again so I can hone in and see all the other metaphors that I didn't get yet. Like, I'm still thinking about it.
So the Crystal Heart is them when they break into his writing room. Is that supposed to be the tree of knowledge? And when they break the heart, it's them
Eating the fruit.
Okay.
And like when he gets mad and he says "get out," that's like him kicking casting them out of the Garden of Eden. So
boring.
I don't know. I liked it. I do want to see it again. It's like I said, it's something you experience, and I want to experience again. Like, I would like to see it in the theater, and it is a film that I will buy on Blu-ray.
One other question before we wrap it up. How did you guys feel about the lack of score?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, honestly, it's not something that I particularly noticed, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't notice until you said it right now. I didn't notice until you said it right now.
What? Yeah. That was like the main thing to me. It was so jarring. And maybe this is me. I love eating popcorn at movies. I will get a big bucket of popcorn, and usually there's music so that I'm chopping away. Oh.
Often as I get in
the movie. Well, you
gotta get movie pass, Dylan, Chuck.
You gotta get movie pass, brah. So cheap.
I wouldn't be able to afford popcorn every time.
Well, then you
pop some
popcorn.
I'm not a wealthy man.
Listen, I live in Los Angeles, and I make up to $12 a day, so it's totally worth it to me. I actually don't eat meals so that I can eat popcorn in the theater. So I won't eat breakfast and I won't eat lunch so that I can eat popcorn in the theater.
I love popcorn. I really love popcorn. I don't get it every time I go to the movies because it does, for how much I go to the movies, that would be a big accumulation of money to spend. But I do really love popcorn.
See, I have a very large popcorn budget that I put away every year. I put money away from my popcorn budget.
Oh, nice!
I love it, and I make popcorn home. Anyway, so the thing about the score for me, it was so jarring because anytime that things got loud, it was so overstimulating. Because I didn't have the chance to have things kind of be ramped up. Usually, if there's like a bed of music, I kind of get accustomed to that stimulus.
And then build up
loud. Then it's sort of like, okay, we're moving into this. Going from silent to super loud, especially during that scene where there's like the war zone and the police attacking, and like that was really tough for me. That made it really hard to enjoy the film, especially during those moments. I like the big buildup. I mean, although. What did you guys think about the pepper spray from the cops? They're throwing it in God's face. They pepper spray in God's face. Because I just laughed at that. That was ridiculous to me.
I didn't laugh one time in this movie.
I laughed so much. This movie was so ridiculous to me. It eventually just became so ridiculous that I just kept laughing at all the scenes.
Well,
which I think was Aronofsky's intention. This is a comedy for the ages.
This is the next Monty Python in the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's get our days going on. Where can people follow you on the internet again, Brandon?
I think it's back down to a D+.
Oh.
Now that I'm talking through, I think I'm gonna have to change my grade to like D+. Because now that we've talked through, it's like, oh yeah, this movie did really bother me a lot in a lot of ways. Like, it's interesting, and I'm glad that he tried to do it, but I have to give it a D for Darren. Yeah.
Oh.
At Brandon Gilbrecht. You can write me letters to my house if you want to. Send me packages of anthrax. I don't know. What do people send in letters these days?
Anthrax.
Yeah, I thought so.
They send it.
The band. Send me mixtapes featuring your favorite Anthrax tracks.
Got it. Where can people follow
Anthraxathon.
you on Derek Miranda?
On Twitter at Derek Miranda 85. Derek spelled the correct way, DEREK. Or on Instagram, just Derek Miranda.
Completely subjective, so just for the record. For me, you can follow me at Chuck, so that's SCHUCKSTR for the show. You can follow us at The Watch and Talk. You can follow our Instagram at The Watch and Talk. You can go to our website, thewatchandtalk.com. Email us at thewatchandtalk@gmail.com, or our Facebook at facebook.com/thewatchandtalk. And that's it. I'm Dylan Chuck.
Dylan, do you still have a Patreon?
I do.
Oh, man. I'm going to give you $10 a month for popcorn money.
Do it.
Hell yeah. You've earned it.
Dylan, if you go to the movies with me, I'll share some popcorn with you.
Boom. Friendship.
Appreciate it, guys. That's it. I'm Dylan Chuck.
I'm Brandon Gilbrecht.
I'm Derek Miranda.
And I'll see you next week.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's girlfriend.
Alrighty.
You can cut that part off at the end.
I know.
Dylan. Oh, I have so much fun making these shows.
I hope so. Yeah,
You were so mad this whole episode.
One of those movies.
You're so mad. See, it wasn't even like The Circle where it was clear that you enjoyed making fun of The Circle. Like you had a fun time with a bad movie like The Circle.
Yeah, I don't think this movie is bad, which is why I can't I don't sit there and feel the need to roast this movie.
Roasted, bro.
Yeah, so I don't think it's bad. It just wasn't what I'm looking for in
And
Dylan just wants to have fun.
That's true. Dylan is one of those guys that is stupid.
Dylan just wants the guy to crack some jokes, beat the bad guy, and get the girl at the end right off.
That's why he put 4 of his top 5 Jennifer Lawrence movies as Hunger Games or
Exactly.
God,
just kidding.
I hate that. That's my list. I was reading this list, and
it's
I'm like,
almost like you had a choice.
I knew I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this list, and I was wondering, are their lists gonna be similar? I'm like, no, it's probably not.
All right, well, I love you guys very much.
Dylan, you're great.
Dylan, though, seriously though, if you have an opening for the Kingsman review, I would like to partake.
All right, big dog.
If the timing works out, so just keep me in mind if you still love me and you want to hear my voice, it'd be cool.
I love you. Bye.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.